How you doing, YouTube? How you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Welcome to U.S. News. We're going to be covering a myriad of topics here, but mainly covering the, of course, rail strike. Let's dig into it right now. We got a couple smaller clips, and then we're going to get into, we're also going to hear from a rail worker themselves. Got a little interview with that person there. There's a really interesting Jake Tapper interview with Pete Buttigieg, so we're going to be covering that. And let's see what else we got lined up. The Ron DeSantis law about, or the Don't Say Gay law is now being used to prevent people from talking about Hanukkah in schools, something like that. We're going to cover that. Do have some more union news. And a little treat from your boy Kevin Spacey at the end here with our U.S. coverage. There's some funny clips that I've been wanting to play people, so we're going to play those. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Just get a quick update on just to kind of recap on the whole situation, but same with U.S. a bit. Yeah, well, I mean, this is news. I got to cover everything. Well, I can't just cover the topic, the popular topic, because that's like literally what everyone else does, and they're doing it only to get views. Sorry to confuse you, YouTube, but we're just talking about I have like 5 viewers on Twitch right now. And it's because no one cares about news. What they want to see, they just want to see shit blow up in Ukraine. That's what they want to see. And I don't do that shit. I do real news. So this is, if, I'm going to bitch about it, if I'm going to do a real show and people don't want to see the realness because most people are fake, what can I do? Right? Just got to keep it real and keep doing what I do. Everyone talking about Kanye. I can't even trick people to get into my stream to talk about Kanye. I was hoping to trick people to get in here because I have a really funny clip I wanted to show. But no one even they don't want to talk about Kanye with me, which is probably a good thing. So let's go ahead and keep moving on here. Rail strike. Try not to fall asleep.
A rail strike is one of the most disruptive and expensive things that can happen to an economy.
A rail shutdown.
So this is of course how the media is covering the rail strike. I mean, and of course they're falling right into that trap of vilifying the protesters and just it's going to destroy everybody. How the union strikers are such bad people. Waiting for more Kanye I Love Hitler clips.
Or strike would disrupt supply chains.
A strike means food prices could skyrocket.
Many experts are saying would be an economic
and instead of them making an argument like, boy, shouldn't they should probably capitulate, they should probably give them just a few sick days. They go, oh, these people are fucking up our whole economy and how dare they, and they're so bad. They never make the argument that maybe the government should or the entity should ban. They're like, no, they signed a contract. They signed on the bottom line. They get to be exploited. They should be able to exploit. And by the way, I really like the billions of dollars that I just put in my pocket this year.
catastrophe.
That could mean a big shortage and massive price hikes. Even gas prices could increase.
And it also could cost the economy $1 billion within the first week.
That would cripple the economy.
I'm not
Gee, wow. Maybe we should do what they say.
setting aside the concerns of your members, but are you and your members willing to stop the rails, in effect, and accept those costs
By the way, they're doing this thing to Mick Jones as well in the UK. I've shown a lot of it.
to the U.S. economy?
Do you believe a strike is worth it if it cripples the U.S. economy and costs up to $2 billion a day?
More than $2 billion per day.
Is it
It's a fair question, and if it was asked by if it was a good faith question that would allow them to talk about the pros and cons of why we're doing it and how these people don't want to do it, they would prefer to work. That's great, but it's not. It's a bad faith question presented in a bad faith way.
worth it?
And on top of
Is it worth it? Is it worth it? What do you mean, is it worth it? Am I allowed to have a sick day or I lose my job? You want people working under those conditions?
that, the holidays are right around the corner.
So a
It's
little less
amazing,
than a
right?
month right before.
And then Joe Biden has the fucking audacity. YouTube. So Clutch Cargo over here talking about how it's amazing how the Democrats always seem to miss every opportunity to help labor. And then Joe Biden has the goddamn audacity to fucking literally strut around and brag about he's the most pro-labor president that's ever existed. Why? Because you got some hokey stories about corn fucking pop and you shove corn dogs down your fucking throat? Are you joking? Are you joking, you senile fucking corrupt piece of come on, man. Come on. You most pro-labor fucking president ever. Oh, yeah, why? Why? Because you wear aviators and pretend you're a tough guy? Get out of here.
For Christmas here.
especially right before the holidays.
President Biden warning if that happened, it would devastate the economy if we had a strike like that. So
Yeah,
joining me now
gee.
to talk about this and a lot more is Bank of America.
Gee, maybe we should give them some sick days. They never connect the dots.
It's Brian.
Right? It's like when they have an 8-minute segment about people just don't want to work anymore, and they never use the word wages fucking once. How many? I think I've shown it twice. Like almost 10-minute long segments where they talk about wages and not wages, but they talk about, oh, no one wants to work. And, oh, there's all this employment and, no one wants to work. No one wants to work. And they never say wages. It's the same shit here. Same shit here. They're never going to connect the dots, and they're doing it intentionally.
Brian Moynihan, chairman and CEO, one of the biggest banks in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to interview, I'm literally going to interview a fucking oligarch about the situation, about the gee, Mr. Monopoly man, do you think people should be able to unionize and ask for more? Gosh, I don't think that's a good idea. Oh, how insightful, Mr. Monopoly man. Oh, you dropped your crystal monocle. Oh yeah, it's made out of crystal and human skull flesh. No, oh yes, there we go. Fits like a glove. Biden signs rail deal, avoiding economic catastrophe. And once again, we see exactly how the media is framing it. It is interesting that they put economic catastrophe in quotes, but I guess it's a quote from them. But this is how it's framed, right? Not Biden, crushes the, strike or Biden disregards the strike workers' demand for sick days. No, it's framed as if, he's avoiding an economic catastrophe. And he should be praised for this. This is Reagan-esque, man. This shit is Reagan-esque.
Morning, folks.
Did you just wake up from your goddamn nap? Sauntering out there.
Begin by thanking my team here. They did one heck of a job.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever. I'm not even going to play the whole fucking thing. You already put me to sleep. There you go. You get the fucking gist. He signed the fucking thing. Real quick, I wanted to get a update on the latest massacres coming out of the United States. Just real quick here. Thought, hey, 2 days since the latest mass shooting? Holy shit. Wow. Congratulations, America. Wow. I can sleep soundly now. Latest one was November 30th. Yes, November. Lake Charles, 8 injured, gunman unknown. Wow, just 8? 8 people caught a bullet. No biggie. Of course, November 27th, Tallahassee, Florida. 1 dead, 4 injured. Juvenile victim, 16-year-old male among the wounded, gunman unknown. 27th as well, New Orleans, 0 dead, 5 injured, juvenile victim, 17-year-old male among the wounded, gunman, Dashawn Meyer. Then on the 26th, there was 4 injured in Alabama and 2 killed in Chicago, Illinois, gunman unknown. There you go. There's your mass shooting update from your boy Abandoned Nihilism. 2 whole days since the last mass shooting. I mean, fuck, man. I think if we hit 5, it's time to hand out the awards. There you go. Moving on, of course. Let's go ahead and get back to the rail strike story here real quick. I have this really great 5-minute interview with Democracy Now! We're not going to watch this whole 17-minute interview with this other guy from Princeton University or something. But there is this really great interview with this motherfucking bearded dude right here, kind of giving us, I don't think we hear too many interviews with the actual railroad workers, right? We hear from the CNN pundits, we hear from the the politicians and all these other people, but let's hear from. He's got the glasses on his hat, he's got the beard a mile long. Let's hear what he's got to say about this whole situation. So I thought that was interesting. So I'm so sorry, Davey, but looks like Democracy Now! Actually slipped into some journalism here.
President Biden is warning that a looming rail strike could President Biden is warning that a looming rail strike could have devastating economic consequences and has called on House lawmakers to vote today to block the strike and force through a contract deal that raises wages by nearly 25% but includes no paid sick days and is opposed by 4 out of the 12 rail unions representing tens of thousands of workers. Among them is the Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way Employees Division, which said the move denies railroad workers their right to strike while also denying them the benefit they would likely otherwise
I'm going to play the 5-minute clip, Davey, you jerk face.
obtain if they were not denied their right to strike, unquote. Some progressive lawmakers are pushing back. Congressmember Jamal Bowman tweeted Tuesday he, quote, can't in good conscience vote for a bill that doesn't give rail workers the paid leave they deserve. Lawmakers.
This motherfucker handing out pies to local unions and then not even giving them a single sick day. Couldn't even give them one. But they'll give you a pie. It's insulting, bro. It's insulting, man. Oh, you get this pie you giving me from president. Wow. Wow. Do I get to keep my job if I get the flu? No. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or some corporate office giving you a fucking pizza party instead of giving you a legitimate raise. Let him eat pie. You guys are amazing. And yeah, no, I did see that. The Amazon giving their workers chips and pizza. Like, and it's not even like a chip and pizza party. Like, they give you a little fucking fun-sized bag of chips, you know, and a fucking, you know, and a slice of pizza that's, you know, been picked through by starving, sweating ass, you know, laborers who literally have 5 milliseconds to stand around and, you know, gobble down a slice before they got to rush back to the goddamn package mines to, you know, before their performance rating gets dipped into the single digits. And then they got to get a talking to by Sean, the little 18-year-old middle manager who's running around making sure that everyone's, you know, keeping up with their quotas. Oh, well, your quota's pretty low today. Oh, you better pack more boxes there. I might have to fire you.
Lawmakers separately will vote on a proposal to add 7 days of paid sick
This
leave to the
motherfucker puts on
agreement.
the hat. He puts on the hat. He puts on the hat, and then he can't even give you a single fucking sick day. He's spitting in your face. He's spitting in the face of every fucking union that's ever existed in the United States. Puts on the hat and hands you a fucking pie. Can't even give you a sick day. It's an insult.
After mounting pressure, rail workers are asking for 15 days of paid leave. Ron Kalmanko, a locomotive engineer and organizer for Railroad Workers United, spoke to Democracy Now! Monday night.
So unfortunately, the most labor-friendly president, quote unquote, we've ever had, basically has opted to side with the Class 1 carriers, Class 1 rail carriers, because he had the opportunity,
$1 billion.
and he's had that opportunity since this whole debacle began, to basically urge, coax, cajole, and otherwise badger and bully the rail carriers into meeting what are very, very modest demands of rank-and-file railroad workers. And in his latest request here to Congress to legislate us basically back to work before we even had a chance to strike, under the terms and conditions of the tentative agreement, which is not very popular with the rank and file. We have unions that represent 55% of rail labor have voted this contract down. And so we could have seen Biden actually opt for telling Congress he would like to see Congress pass legislation that mediates an end to the conflict, under which more favorable terms to the workers, which is to say a handful of sick days. And that's what this has come down to. Railroad workers traditionally have had no sick time. And now with the very, very harsh attendance policies that we're faced with.
And we're not talking about the airline industry that can barely keep itself afloat. We're talking about $1 billion industry putting hundreds of millions of dollars into its executives' pockets. I'm talking about a very, very profitable industry here that is fucking these people over. Joe Biden should be spitting mad, not giggling and smiling while signing it away.
Railroad workers get very, very little time off work, and it has come to a crunch point. We're seeing workers leaving the industry in droves, in numbers never, ever believed possible. People with 15 and 20 years seniority are leaving the industry.
Right.
And there's a crisis out there. And I don't believe the Biden administration quite understands the depth of this crisis. Since I entered the industry more than a quarter century ago, I have watched as the rail industry has made record profits. The operating ratio when I hired in, I believe, was somewhere in the mid 80s. It dropped into the 70s, 60s. The rail industry is hell-bent on achieving a 0.50 operating ratio, and who knows where they might even want to go from there. Stock buybacks has reached record proportion.
Of course they have.
The dividends that have been paid out to stockholders are enormous. Warren Buffett was, for one, who bought BNSF outright a decade ago, will state unequivocally that his investment has paid off to him way more than he even expected it to.
Right. Right.
The wealth that has been accumulated by these rail carriers over the last quarter century, while they have moved less freight than they did 16 years ago.
Amazing.
Shippers from practically every major shipping group that ships by rail is in a state of total discontent. They have complained vociferously to the Surface Transportation Board, demanding better service. The rail industry has gouged their customers. They've shed themselves of about a third of their employees in the last 6 years. And they've basically pissed off just about everybody in the country except for their stockholders.
And let me tell you, rail is essential. Rail is essential to a modern future logistics infrastructure in the United States. Modern rail. Right. And we have these jokers. We have these jokers and profiteers and rent seekers, in charge of this, gouging our nation. This is a lifeblood industry of small business to medium business to large business. Need these motherfuckers. And we need this system to be cheap, efficient, and just on point. Right. And what do we got? We got the goddamn clown patrol in charge of this shit. Let me tell you, mismanaging the major railroad networks in the United States costs every single person in the United States more money for fucking everything.
And now we come down to the wire in contract negotiations where literally what separates the parties is a handful of sick time that most workers actually have achieved decades and decades ago, but railroad workers have traditionally gone without. And we finally have said enough is enough. We want a handful of sick days.
No,
and yet
they should strike anyway. They should strike anyway. Every single fucking one of them should show up and strike. Because, I memean, what's the point of working? What's the point of working like a slave? They're going to fire you anyway. The moment you stub your toe, break your foot, you have the audacity to go ride your bike on the weekend, and then you have a nasty spill, right? Oh man, I twisted my ankle really bad. I physically can't work. Well, bye job. They're going to fire you immediately anyway. So do it. Strike anyway. That's what I'm saying to these people. Strike anyway.
Carriers see fit to dig in their heels. These Fortune
That's
500
correct,
companies who have made, like I say, record profits these last 25 years and refuse to give us anything. And unfortunately, the Biden administration is incapable of siding unequivocally with us as the most labor-friendly president ever. We would have expected that from him. So there's a lot of upset and a lot of discontent right now amongst the working railroaders.
That's Ron Kamenkow.
So there you go.
Is a locomotive engineer and organizer for Railroad Workers Union, speaking to Democracy Now! Monday night.
So there you go. I mean, that's what a real union guy sounds like. That's what a real union guy sounds like. Not Joe hand you a $15 pie and wear a brand spanking new hat for about 5 fucking seconds. It's just disgusting, okay? And this is why the fascists win. because the fascists get to come out here and pretend, oh yeah, no, these guys are the enemy. These guys are the enemy. See, they're vilifying. They're destroying your nation. Oh, you can't trust the unions. Look, they're siding with the demon drinking pedophiles. Oh, all right. I am going to do something special with this video. It's a Pete Buttigieg video, which requires special handling. So Pete Buttigieg is using a well-known politician strategy. It's not exactly Gish galloping because he's not really having a debate per se with Jake Tapper here. Jake Tapper is pretending to apply a little pressure to Pete Buttigieg without really applying a lot of pressure. And then at the end, you can kind of tell, okay, all right, the show is over, end scene. I can stop pretending like I'm critical of you. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna listen to Jake Tapper's questions, which, you know, if Jake Tapper wasn't such a corporate bad actor, these would actually be good questions from a real journalist. But of course, Jake Tapper being who the hell Jake Tapper is, it's theater. But we are going to listen to the question because they are good questions, and it does show that CNN knows that it's not asking good questions. And every so often they'll show that they actually know the right questions to ask, and they actually also know when they should be pushing back. It just tells you that, you know, all the times that they don't push back, they know that they should be, and they're not pushing back for a very specific reason. So we're going to be listening to Jake Tapper's questions, but then when Pete Buttigieg proceeds to eject some kind of viscous fluid from his mouth, like he's possessed by some, demon called Pazuzu, and starts spitting green pea soup everywhere, we're going to go ahead and 1.5 that, because he literally says nothing. He literally says nothing. Basically, his argument is that, well, this is the agreement. People signed on the bottom line, and you gotta, I'll give you the benefit of the first 30 seconds, and then the rest of his statement, we're just going to speed through it, okay? But we'll normal speed through the first couple seconds of his response, and then you'll see that it's complete bullshit for the rest of it. It's amazing. And what does Jake Tapper do? Politely sits there and allows Pete, and this is the technique I was talking about, allows Pete Buttigieg to fill up this time, because he knows for a fact that Jake Tapper has a very limited amount of time to interview him. And Jake Tapper knows that as well. So Jake Tapper, along with Pete Buttigieg, are going to basically, they're going to agree to allow Pete Buttigieg to just fill up the time with bullshit, making it seem that there's some kind of detailed and intelligent conversation happening, when in reality what's happening is theater. One person is pretending to be a journalist, and another person is pretending to be a concerned politician. That's what we're seeing here. And it's kind of a triple layered, like meta kind of like absurdist play, right? Where they're saying one thing, their motivations are different, and then there's also a third layer of motivations there as well. But if you just landed on Earth and you just saw this interview, you would think, oh, this is a sensible interview. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to it.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper, and we start today with breaking news in our... Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper, and we start today with breaking news in our politics lead. Just moments ago, the Senate passed a bill that would help avoid a catastrophic rail strike, one that was expected to start within days. Now the legislation, which had already passed the House of Representatives, heads to President Biden's resolute desk for signing. Just a few hours ago, it looked as though the agreement could be derailed, with members of both parties, Democrats and Republicans, demanding paid sick leave for the union rail workers. CNN's Manu Raju starts off our coverage from Capitol Hill with an inside look at how this deal came together just minutes ago.
We can go ahead and skip this.
The Senate averting a devastating blow to the U.S. economy.
We can skip this except for Bernie Sanders' comments.
Of 12 labor unions. But that plan lacks paid sick leave for workers. So progressives on Capitol Hill demanded that the Senate guarantee at least 7 days for rail workers.
It would be an absolute outrage if these workers did not get at least 7 days paid sick leave.
So by the way, Bernie Sanders voted no, but AOC voted yes. In fact, the only person who did not vote yes on the squad, whatever that is, was I believe Rashida Tlaib. let's go ahead and skip on over to our awesome, just amazing Pete Buttigieg interview. Let's go ahead and shift that.
Demanded.
And conservatives as well.
Over there.
Manu Raju, thanks so much. Joining us now to discuss Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Mr. Secretary, the bill just passed the Senate despite objections from members of both parties who wanted paid sick leave to be included. Why are you okay passing a deal that does not guarantee paid sick leave for these union workers?
Okay, so that's a pretty simple question. Why are you okay with, your party? Why is your party okay with signing this, even though these people are not going to get any help whatsoever?
Well, first of all, the importance of this deal is that a rail shutdown is being.
First of all, I'm not going to answer that question. We're going to go ahead and recontextualize the question. I'm going to ignore the question that you asked me. Then I'm actually going to answer. I'm going to create a new question that I'm then going to spend the next 5 minutes answering. Jake Tapper knows this, and Jake Tapper is going to allow this to happen. One more time, so you can see it, because it's really quick. All right. So Jake Tapper asked the question. Pete Buttigieg here's the question, gives a different question to answer, and then proceeds to answer that one.
Leave to be included. Why are you okay passing a deal that does not guarantee paid sick leave for these union workers?
Well, first of all, the importance of this deal is that a rail shutdown is being avoided. If that were.
First of all, the action that we made is totally correct and supersedes everything else. And let me proceed to then answer this question that I just made up.
To happen, we would have seen hundreds of thousands of American workers laid off, energy prices shooting up once refineries were unable to continue operating, issues getting chlorine.
Details, did Jake Tapper ask for any of these details? We don't need any of this.
To water treatment plants, auto industry factories shutting down within hours, if not days, of that happening.
Okay,
so what we've been able to avoid is a major blow to workers, farms, families across the country.
Yeah, but we're gonna work people like slaves to get that.
Everybody got what they wanted in this deal.
Yeah, not everyone got what they wanted, except there was actually one side that actually got literally everything that they wanted. And that would be a really nice time for Jake Tapper to jump on in here and point that out, that there actually is one side that did get everything that they wanted, and it was the moneyed side. It was the corporate side. It was the side that sided with industry, the side that you're on, and the side that you're signing that paper for.
But what was enacted is something that mirrors what was reached in the tentative agreement at the.
So now he's saying, well, they agreed with this. This is the tentative agreement. They agreed with it, and too bad, so sad, I guess.
Negotiating table between union leaders and railroad companies. What that includes is a 24% pay increase for railroad workers. They are essential workers who deserve to be paid well, on average $100,000 or so in pay. It includes adjustments to their health care, an additional day of paid personal leave. But again, not a perfect deal, and every side had to give in something in those negotiations to reach that deal. I think there's an ongoing conversation in this country about how to make.
Did they have to give in anything?
Sure that workers in this sector and in every sector.
I mean, the pay increases are good, and an extra day of paid personal. But that's interesting, though, right? Is that you don't get any sick days, but you could take a personal day, right? So this is not a mental health day. This isn't I'm going to go watch my kid's soccer game, so I'm going to leave at 12. It's like, no, I broke my leg, and okay, well, you have some personal days you can take. And what happens when I'm out of personal days? And what if I really injure myself? Okay, you're fired. Thank you.
Get the support that they need. But right now, what you have is a deal that is improving pay and work conditions for American railroad workers, and crucially, avoiding a shutdown that would have been devastating to the American economy.
Wow. So, you know what I didn't hear? I didn't hear an answer to the question that Jake Tapper asked. Did you guys hear that? That was amazing, right? I mean, how many minutes? Wow. So that was a 2.5 minute long response. Jake Tapper asked him, how are you guys cool with doing this? This Pete Buttigieg is one of the most dangerous politicians in the neoliberal party right now. God help us all if he ever gets into a real position of power, which he likely will.
Without question, the shutdown would have been devastating to the American economy, and I think everybody out there is glad that it has been avoided. But The question is, these rail lines, they're making billions of dollars. Profits are up for all of them, quite a lot in some cases. You and I have paid sick
Okay, he acknowledges that reality. Okay.
leave. My crew has paid sick leave. Why don't these railway workers deserve paid sick leave?
Okay, that's a pretty simple question. Why don't they deserve paid sick leave? His response is going to be they signed on the bottom line. Too bad, so sad.
Well, let me remind you, the position of our administration is that every American worker ought to have paid leave, whether you're a railroad worker, a journalist, a federal government employee, or whether you work at Burger King. We believe that every American
This response is too much bullshit even for Jake Tapper.
worker, certainly every full-time American worker, ought to have paid leave. The president has proposed that. The president has advanced that in proposed legislation, and so far it has been unable to get past what has been unified Senate Republican opposition. We are going to continue to press for that. Again, not just picking and choosing one sector over another, but based on the basic idea that every single American worker ought to have paid leave, just like you have in pretty much every country in the world.
Right,
but for now, right now, the tentative agreement that was reached at the bargaining table between union leaders and companies contains provisions like this pay raise and other improvements.
Right. I get it, but saying that they ought to have paid sick leave and then getting in there and saying to the Warren Buffetts of the world, give these guys paid sick leave, or the White House is going to make you guys out to be the bad guys, and you're going to be the ones that are forced to blink.
No, they didn't do
your
that.
Reputations take a number of hits.
Can't do that. Can't do that. No. The number one labor president in the United States can't stick his neck out for labor unions. Come on now. This is a political minefield. Oh my God.
That's a different matter. We've heard from multiple union workers who feel like the Biden administration has let them down. Gabe Christensen, a freight railroad brakeman who lives in Nevada, he told CNN, quote, "Here we have someone," meaning Biden, "who touted themselves as the most labor-friendly president for many decades, and he basically just betrayed us. There really is no difference between Democrats and Republicans anymore. They're just feeding corporate greed," unquote. What do you say to Gabe Christensen?
Well,
this is gold.
If you don't think there's any difference, you should look at the difference between this president, who has advanced good-paying jobs, who has made sure the National Labor Relations Board is able to do its job, who has put in the first card-carrying union member to be labor secretary in a generation, who has upheld everything from Davis-Bacon wages to the kind of working conditions to make sure that unions can thrive, because he believes strongly in American unions, in organized labor, and is proud to be the most actively pro-union president in a generation. Again, that doesn't mean everybody got everything that they wanted. And we need to have a broader conversation about the labor models and the business practices of transportation companies in this country. And I think that conversation is going to continue and will reach a new phase as soon as the ink is dry on this bill. But in the meantime, what you have is a tentative agreement that was reached by union leaders and company leaders at the bargaining table. And there simply were not votes, as we saw, not the votes in the Senate, for sure, to go in and change the terms of what was reached at that table. And this is not a situation where you can play around, where you can allow things to come to the brink, even before the date of a potential shutdown. Several days before that, you would have seen shipments begin to wind down hazardous materials, potentially including chlorine for water treatment in this country, not able to get to where it needed to go. So this is a situation where we couldn't allow brinksmanship to override the economic and national security of this country. But we are far from done as an administration, doing our continued work to create good-paying jobs, to support union jobs, and again, continuing to press the case for every single American in every single job.
What does it mean to press the case if you're not willing to actually go to these billionaires and say, how on earth can you sleep at night not letting your railway workers have paid sick leave, which is just like that? I mean, that's not an extravagant benefit, paid sick leave. You get sick, you get to take a few days off. They don't have that. So I guess these lofty aspirations are one thing, but I didn't hear any language coming from the administration saying these rail companies need to get serious about offering basic benefits like paid sick leave. I didn't hear that. So I understand where Gabe Christensen is coming from.
Well, again, what this administration supported was what the union leaders and the company leaders agreed to, and did not insert changes into the agreement, because that would have likely added time and complication to a process that would have taken us off the cliff economically. But let me be clear, very specific legislative proposals have come from this administration advancing paid leave. And if friends on the other side of the aisle would work with us, we could have had that, and we could have that in the future. And that's going to continue to be something we work on. In the meantime, what we have now is millions of Americans who can breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that everything from baby formula to milk to petroleum products that affect the price of gasoline to treatment materials for water to all of the other things we count on will continue moving. And the workers, the essential workers who get them where they need to go, not only have an additional day of paid personal leave per the agreement.
And Jake Tapper just lets him do it. Just okay. Yep. All right. Yeah.
Also a 24% pay increase.
Yeah. Obviously, not every labor leader was on board with the plan, but there were some that were. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, thanks, and congratulations on averting the major crisis.
Don't you like that little ending there? Oh, and congratulations. Congratulations. You fucked over everybody. Congratulations. It's like the end of Evangelion. Congratulations. 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 All right. Well, let's see here. What's the view count looking like? Yeah, pretty sad. All right, folks. Well, I have a lot more news to cover, but you know, I'm not catching people's attention right now, so I'm going to go ahead and drop off for the night. I'd like to thank Clutch Cargo for being here, and I'd also like to thank Davey for being here. Thank you two so much for being here, and of course, if there are any lurkers as well in that 5 viewership, thank you so much. Oh, by the way, Crail of Xana, thank you so much. Thank you, YouTube, as well. I'll go ahead and upload this